What's going on, guys, and welcome to the very first episode of a brand new My Team career here in F122. Third time's the charm. We're starting it back up with a bunch of new patch fixes. As you can see, patch 1.08 does address the very overpowered AI top speed coming out of those corners. That was a really big issue that we were dealing with the first time we tried doing this series, as well as a handful of other patches which have really helped the stability of the game. You know, some of the issues that we were finding have been fixed. There's a lot of bugs that have been patched. So all in all, I believe that F122 is in a much better spot to start this game. So we're going to give it another go. There's still a few really annoying things in the game, such as the no sponsors on the replays. I'm hoping that gets addressed soon, because especially for doing videos like this, it makes the replays look a little bit cheesy, you know, not seeing the cars with the full sponsors on it. Just seems a little odd, but couple other ones that I'm hoping they address, but all in all, the major ones are patched, so we're good to start this off. As you can see, similar to the one we did last time, we are going to change some of the settings. So we do have the resources and the acclaim being boosted for the AI and reduced for us. Again, I thought that was a really cool thing that a lot of content creators seem to be doing, and it was something we followed the last time we tried this. So we're just going to keep it the same, and as well as we're going to keep the faulties at a high. Like, just because it gets annoying when your car randomly just has an engine issue, that is the frustration that is part of Formula One. The sport is very cruel. We want to keep that in there. We want to experience it all. So we are going to skip the legends this time. I'm not sure if I like them or not in the game. So we're just going to skip past that. Again, just fly by through the customization. We're going to keep a lot of things the same, but if you notice, we are starting with a brand new redesign on the YouTube channel. So we do have a brand new designs thanks to Maria Designs over on Fiverr. I really appreciate you helping me out with getting the new design. And we changed the color scheme. So we went from orange and black to red, black, and white. It's something that I kind of just said, you know what, let's just change everything, get a whole new redesign going. So this is what you're looking at here. We're going to design our clothes and everything and the livery for that color. But most importantly here, this is where we get down to the nitty-gritties. This is where we decide what we're going to choose for the engine. Now, coming into this one, the last time we did that, we went with Mercedes because at the time, the game had them at 100 durability, and before, the Red Bulls were blowing up every 2 races. So this time, we're actually going to take a different approach and make it even more challenging for us. So we're going to take a medium sponsorship, and we're going to actually go with Renault. So looking at all the performance and durability, Renault and Red Bull are fairly similar. Obviously, Red Bull has a better performance, but I'm not even going to look at Ferrari. I'm not going to look at Mercedes. We're going to pick Renault when this is all said and done. You're going to see here that I pick Red Bull to start, but I don't want to go for one of the higher guys, an Oscar Piastri or Felipe Drugovich, because they're going to make it into the Formula One no matter what. No matter, somebody's going to pick them up. We already hear in the real F1 season that, you know, Piastri is set to race this coming season. So we're actually going to go for the Australian of Liam Lawson. So another Aussie man. He has really good focus. He has pretty good rating. Lots of pace to him. So this is what we're going to finalize here. It's a little bit on the lower end, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. It gives us a nice durable engine that has room for improvement without being that like really strong engine to start off. Because the whole purpose of this is to get in there and build a car from scratch and earn our way to the top of the leaderboard, which is going to take a couple seasons, maybe 2, maybe 3 to even start winning races. So all in all, this is what we decided. This is what the new livery looks like. I think it looks really great with the new color scheme. Just a nice satin black with some red matte finishes with the white accents. I think it looks wonderful. Chose a random logo here. Has nothing really to do with anything other than it's just a cool looking logo. Choose our team colors, and we're all set to have a look at the new headquarters. So enjoy the new look at the car.
Hello folks, and welcome to this, a very special edition of Paddock Pass. We're here at the headquarters of Formula One's newest team for an exclusive first look at what they will be bringing to the sport. It's always an exciting moment to welcome a new team onto the grid. However, what makes this occasion a little more special is how strikingly different the cars are this year. Yep, the long-awaited new regulations are finally here, and with them, the start of the next era of Formula One. The 2022 season ushers in a change of direction to the regulations aimed at promoting closer racing, with new aero additions in the form of swooping front and rear wings, along with the new eye-catching 18-inch low-profile tyres that will push tyre technology to the limit. So then, the question remains as to whether this team can grasp the opportunity before them with both hands and lead the charge against the rest of the paddock. We'll find out soon enough, as the new season is just about to begin. But first, let's see the unveiling of the team's car and meet the owner of the brand new Formula One team.
And there she is, the new F122 livery for the Spyder racing game. I am very happy with that one. I think it just shines beautifully. It's going to look good in most of the lights. And we're going to get the race weekend all set up here. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously get our second driver camp going there to give our boost to Lawson. Again, he's a fresh young rookie who has great potential. Let's get him going early to hopefully get him on the right track so he can be a very prominent number 2 driver for this team. And as we didn't actually show it, but for the questions that we get for the interviews, we decided to focus that on the chassis department. Before 1.08, so the latest patch that addresses some issues, 1.07 actually changed the handling of the vehicle quite substantially. It was something that I saw a lot of creators commenting on, and when I went back in after, a couple weeks off, I definitely noticed that the car was a little bit different to drive. So my primary focus, the drag reduction and all that stuff for the aero department is very important. My number one priority was actually trying to get the car into a better position in the chassis department. So that includes weight reduction, weight redistribution. And by answering that question, it gave me that level 1 in the chassis department. We were able to have weight reduction come in just ahead of the first race at Bahrain. So very excited for that. As you can see, we're actually third from the bottom, so that's not a bad spot. I think the first time we were around, we were second last. So all in all, great start to the season. We do have quite a bit of cash, nearly $1 million left, so we are going to grab some driver perks here, and we're able to actually grab all 3. That's something that I wasn't able to do last time just based on the money. Again, we went for a medium-sized sponsor, but we chose a less expensive engine and a less expensive driver. So we had lots of cash going into this first event. And by grabbing those 3 upgrades for our driver, we're able to get a lot of bonuses right off the bat. So you're going to see the weekly resources come in, and we're immediately going to pop another resource into the chassis department. So that's something that's going to be extremely, extremely important going into these, maybe not for Bahrain, but going into the second or third race. It's something that we're definitely going to need, because the biggest thing, like we talked about it the first time we played this, the car is clunky. It is a dog. It is heavy. It's hard to turn that nose in. We actually, I apologize, I thought we picked another chassis department. So we do get that front drag reduction. So something that we could get that nose turned in. So it goes along the same lines of what I was just talking about. Those are upgrades that are so pivotal to come in early that you have to get them in, because even with the 1.07 patch, with the changes they did, it still feels very clunky, and it's very difficult to control. So once those upgrades are in, we finish the rest of the race weekend, and we took it out for practice. The car feels as best as we can get it going into this. We'll hop into qualies, and all in all, qualies, spoiler, was very, very proud of how we did in this qualifier, since we're looking at lap 1 for Q1. Already going through the circuit, had some time in the practice to get accustomed to the new braking points. Again, one thing that I'm going to point out is the only assist that I'll be using, at least for season 1 of this career, is just the racing line. And that the only reason for that is I haven't played a Formula 1 game in so long that I'm still not that familiar with the braking points. I'm doing my best offline to try and get in there. As you can see, we posted a pretty respectable time that obviously gets bumped out by the old super fast cars of, the Ferraris, the Red Bulls, things like that. But on lap 2 here, we're a second faster going into this final turn of lap 2. And it's going to be pushing it. It might even be above 1 second. So that should bump us up. As you see, Lawson previously had a better time posted than us. So all in all, that jumps us all the way up to 9th. So with 5 minutes left, that is going to secure us a spot in Qualifier 2, finishing 9th in Q1. Unfortunately for our teammate Liam Lawson, he just gets bumped out into position 18, but very proud that he showed up, didn't finish last. As we hop over to Q2, our lap 1 was a little bit of all over the place. I found that I was using the first tire set from Q1, and I just found I didn't have any grip. I was sliding all over the place. So here we are in lap 2. Again, 1.3 seconds coming out of this turn, going down the last straight just before the last turn. 1.4 seconds down and increasing, so a very good lap. We are already in position 15th behind Schumacher, Bottas, and Russell. This surely will see us bump up higher. We're gonna need it if we want to Q3. 1.7 seconds gonna cross the finish line here. That is a wonderful time that finishes us in P7. That'll send us into the final Q3. So in our first ever qualifier here in our first season, we get P10. We just squeak into the top 10 shootout. This is awesome. But as we just highlight there, Yuki Tsunoda, the very wild car in the AlphaTauri car, had a wonderful Q2, bumps himself up into the top 10, and he will find himself in the top 10 shootout as well. So here we go, lap 1. With these top 10s, you usually get 1 lap, maybe 2 in. Had the fresh tires out for this one. You can see the time is not bad. If we're comparing it, if we're making a mental note and comparing it with our time in Q2, this is actually a little bit slower. Again, just still trying to get familiar with the braking points, still trying to understand how the car runs, especially with the new patch updates. It is a little bit hard to get trying to get the braking down right so you can turn that nose into these corners for such a heavy car. But all in all, first lap, not bad, puts us in position 6. And as we jump ahead, that's pretty much where we're going to finish. And get bumped down just a little bit, but all in all, very happy with the qualifiers.
All come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best, of course, at turn 1, and then another soon after into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into that tight left-hander of turn 10. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Perez, George Russell and Hamilton, Bottas, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, the owner driver, Gasly, Vettel, Esteban Ocon and Albon, Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, Fernando Alonso and Liam Lawson, Norris, Stroll, Joe and Nicholas Latifi. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. We are going to have 5 reds here, lights out, and this will start our first event of the season, the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we are off. And as you saw on the grid, it was actually Ferrari getting the #1 position, and they get a great jump as you see Carlos Sainz getting into that #2 position ahead of Max Verstappen, and we'll just try and swing to the inside, but you know what? Better off just have a nice clean start. We're neck and neck with Lewis Hamilton, who did drop down the grid just a little bit there, and he goes a little bit heavy over that curve, and we managed to swing to the outside, just avoiding contact with, I believe that is Daniel Ricciardo just ahead of us there. As we look at the grid, and we make a really aggressive swing to the inside. We are looking to overtake Daniel Ricciardo, and we will get that turn. So very first section of this race, very first race of the season, we're already making some aggressive plays here. But honestly, the roads just kind of opened up to pave us our way into a position 6 early in this race. Now you'll see that McLaren car hot on our heels for Daniel Ricciardo as he's looking to jump back over top of me there. So just going to do our best to try and hold this off as we'll switch into the inside view, and he looks like he goes a little bit wide, and he locks up and just nearly sends himself off in the corner as you see Lewis Hamilton now neck and neck with Daniel Ricciardo, with Yuki Tsunoda, the surprise of qualifier 2, getting himself into that top 10 shootout. He's now right there with them as well, but looking like that silver arrow will just manage to squeak his way past Daniel Ricciardo of that McLaren car. But a nice little train of cars there as we'll jump back up now, and it's now Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo car, sneaking up close behind us. So all in all, we'll jump over to the leaders. It's a great start to this first race weekend. As you see, Charles Leclerc gets a great start to this race as he was on the number 1 position on that first row in the grid. Max Verstappen managing to hold on, but you'll see Carlos Sainz is showing that Ferrari speed early here as we'll hop back in, and Verstappen gets a nice little slipstream. But again, that Ferrari is showing some massive speed here as we go into the first turn here. Lap number 2, and it's actually Max Verstappen going a little bit to the inside and making contact with Carlos Sainz, so I'm not sure if that helped him or what, but that was a bit of contact that was clearly Max Verstappen's fault. Just took that corner a little too aggressively, bumped into Carlos Sainz, so hopefully Sainz has no damage to his Ferrari there, but Max Verstappen doing what he can to squeeze that Red Bull into the inside, gets the racing line. But I think going into this next chicane, it will be Carlos Sainz who will get into that racing line, into that really sharp hairpin turn, and he should have that. As you see George Russell now sneaking up on all of them with Sergio Perez right behind them. Just a great little battle here at the top, which will stay on the top of the leaderboard as we're just sitting pretty there in position number 6, fending off Valtteri Bottas. As you see, Max Verstappen's actually going to send Carlos Sainz off the track, so another aggressive play by the reigning world champion. Not quite sure if that is something that teams will be happy with over at Ferrari, as he just kind of muscles his way in there and sends Sainz way off the track. So similar position where Daniel Ricciardo found himself slipping off the track. That was just Verstappen getting the elbows out and forcing Carlos Sainz off the track. But because of that, as you see, we go a little wide. We are in position 5 now. So all of a sudden, starting in position 10, we have now jumped all the way to position 5 with really no struggle at all. It's kind of been just clear sailing for us to get in that position. As you see Sergio Perez looking to make the move on his teammate Max Verstappen. So now Sergio Perez in ahead of Max Verstappen, but I'm sure Verstappen will have a little bit to say with that. As you see, the DRS will be activated going into this lap now. So George Russell trying to squeeze into the 2 Red Bulls, who are doing a nice little battle here early in the season. So given the okay to just go ahead and race each other. As you see, Sergio Perez will just slip a little bit behind Verstappen, but in his rearview mirror, you're gonna see Sergio Perez just flying down this track. So a very good strong start for Checo here early in the season. Again, I'm super proud to say that we're holding position 5, but all the action is coming from these top 4 guys, and really the top 10 guys, because it's been so easy to slip into that position. And now, as you can see, George Russell will slip on the inside of Max Verstappen, and we are right behind the heels of him as we get a little bit of oversteer, just managed to stay from swerving out. But as you see Max Verstappen coming to this stage, and he does it again! Oh my word, Max Verstappen has just pushed George Russell off the track. That is his 3rd car he has been super aggressive with, and I'm sure that Wolf is not going to be happy about that. He is probably making the call up to Michael right now to have them take a look at that. Oh wow, because of another aggressive play by Max Verstappen, we have just slipped our way into position 4. It's remarkable. What a glorious start to the season for Spyder Racing, as we're going to look at our teammate, Liam Lawson, who started in position 18th, is now up in his position 16, so he's enjoying himself a little race here too, as he's just trying to cozy up behind those Haas cars. We'll switch back to George Russell, who, as you saw, got shoved out the track, and now he's battling it out with not just his teammate Lewis Hamilton, but Valtteri Bottas coming in on the inside, looking for a double overtake. Will he get it? Well, he will for just a moment, but it's going to be the 2 silver arrows that get a really great exit out of that. And now Lewis Hamilton has just sprung into 6th position as Valtteri Bottas is looking overpass, but it's Daniel Ricciardo, the Aussie man, who's looking to make a double overtake over Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, and he will attempt the inside, but just a little too slow coming around that corner. That outside play seems to prove a bit better. As you see George Russell right on the tailpipe of Daniel Ricciardo. So many wonderful battles inside this top 10. It's making for a very exciting showing here at Bahrain. My oh my, I can barely catch my breath here as you see George Russell now all the way down in 9th, and he takes that curb a little wide, but he will sneak in as Daniel Ricciardo doesn't want to do anything too crazy. But my oh my, you see Yuki Tsunoda and the AlphaTauri trying to make a play on these guys as well. It's just wonderful battles up and down as we'll switch back to our position here. We are closing the gap on Max Verstappen. We now have a little bit of wiggle room between Carlos Sainz. It will be hard to keep that Ferrari at bay. And we do look to make the inside play on Max Verstappen, who makes a small mistake. Broke a little too early. We broke a little late. And you're going to see Carlos Sainz now neck and neck with Max Verstappen. So maybe the aggressive plays early. He's gotten a couple warnings and has decided to ease back. But we are up in a podium position. Lap 5 here. Spyder Racing in 3rd position. This is wonderful as you see Carlos Sainz just bump that curb a little bit, lose a little bit of time. We get a little bit of oversteer. Again, just trying to get a handle on these new cars with the new patch updates. Again, it's going to be so hard to keep any of these cars at bay. You're talking about a Ferrari, a Red Bull, a Mercedes all behind me, just gonna try and hold on to the position as long as possible. But if you told me on lap 5 of the first race with the way our car is set up, I'd call you crazy. As we look back at Liam Lawson is looking to make a play onto the Haas car. I believe that is Magnussen. Oh my word, we are seeing Spyder racing just all and down the leaderboard. That now propels him into, I believe, 15th, maybe 16th, as you see Lando Norris, who had a very bad showing in qualifiers, squeak up past Kevin Magnussen as well. No, my word. I did not expect Liam Lawson to have a great start to this. This is wonderful to see as now, as we jump over to lap 6, it is going to be Carlos Sainz putting the pressure on us in that in that Ferrari. Just a much faster car. Not much we can do. Perez just ahead of him is actually gaining on Charles Leclerc. Still a couple seconds out, but he's had the fastest lap. As you see, Verstappen looks to make a deep dive into the inside. We'll clip that a little bit. We're trying to get that smart exit. Just get that racing line. We will squeeze Max Verstappen out just again. He's trying to take all these so aggressively. He's got to be careful not to bump into me, but I'm not going to put down the elbows that easy. If he wants it, he can come and take it. I won't back out. As you see him trying to squeeze up to us now. But man, oh man, the leaderboard is getting tight. Between myself and George Russell, there is not much of a difference. It is Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, and George Russell within a couple seconds of each other. As you see, Max Verstappen is just trying to take all the aggressive lines. But I'm just not letting him have it. I'm just closing off them, shutting it down, as you're going to see Lewis Hamilton trying to gain back on Max Verstappen. So the former world champion looking to show his muscles early, showing that the Mercedes is indeed a threat to be reckoned with this season on our Formula 1 22 alternate reality here. And now Max Verstappen has pressure all around him. Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, and now you have George Russell has caught up to that group. So Max Verstappen, who was in second on the grid, remember, he started on row number 1 alongside Charles Leclerc, made some super aggressive plays early in the race. But now, unfortunately for him, he is just finding himself, as you see, Bottas go on the inside of him, and he's neck and neck with Hamilton now. So, unfortunately for Verstappen, I don't know if he got a warning or what may have happened, but he has now dropped all the way down to 7, nowhere near the top of the leaderboard. And this battle, this 4 car, look how closely tight they are right here. That is actually giving us a little bit of wiggle room just to sneak up ever close, have our own race, try and catch Carlos Sainz. It's going to be a tall task, but while these guys are all squabbling with each other and battling it out, I really don't have any pressure. As you can see, that train has now included Daniel Ricciardo, and as we jump to lap 8, I am now behind Lewis Hamilton, which was fully expected, but I did not expect the man of Valtteri Bottas just slipping in so easily. And it was about this point that I realized, as you see on the graphic there, just as we switch it back, that my tires were wearing out so fast. Now again, this is a brand new car. We're starting from scratch. We don't have that tire wear as good as where we need it going into the season. I just can't catch any grip. The back end is swinging out. I'm oversteering like crazy, understeering like crazy. So we're gonna have to make a pit stop a little bit earlier than expected. As we jump back, Max Verstappen, the man is now in 9th place as he is looking at the tailpipe of George Russell and the Aussie man, Daniel Ricciardo of McLaren. And as you'll see as he drives by there is a yellow flag, and there will be somebody tucked up on the corner here. It looks like it's Esteban Ocon, who must be having some car troubles. I don't see any smoke coming out of the back, but he is driving so slow. He's been passed by everybody, and unfortunately for Team Alpine, Esteban Ocon is going to be forced to retire out of this first event here in Bahrain. And as you take a look at the aerial view, that black, red, and white car, beautifully designed. Again, a little odd that there's no sponsors on it, but hopefully that'll be passed soon. But again, you can see in each of these corners, especially as we round this, just very lacking the grip. It's oversteer and understeer on almost every single corner because I just don't have the traction. So looking at the lap, we're at lap 11. I'm going to make the box 1 lap earlier than a lot of people. So that is going to be coming up here as we go into lap 12. We've made the call to box. We're just going to go inside here again, and you can just see that like the grip is not there, so we're having to play it a little bit slow. Still in position 6, which is wonderful. Again, if you told me I would have been there, I would have called you crazy, but we're just doing our best to hang on here. As you see, George Russell is gaining right there. Another example of the lack of grip that we have. I believe at this point the tires went about 50, so they're on their way out. We need to get in and pit. We're just going to let Russell squeeze ahead. We know if there's any chance of catching him later on, it's going to be once we switch to our hard compound. So right here, you'll see Valtteri Bottas also make the pit stop early. We're going to undercut 1 lap and hopefully get in, and by the time all the laps are done, maybe we can squeeze our way back into the top 10. And we're going to have a look at our first pit stop. Hopefully the pit crew is ready for our first stop of the season. Oh, and it's a wonderful stop. An absolutely brilliant stop for us. As you see, Valtteri Bottas will pull out ahead of us. Now, obviously, we've dropped down to position 16. Here we are on lap 14. We've gained a couple as people start to pit, but it's Max Verstappen who has switched to his hard compounds a lap after us. So ours are a bit warm, and we make a wonderful inside overtake over the world champion. As we jump over lap 15. Remember, this is the second time Bottas is pitting, so something is wrong with his vehicle there. He pitted the same lap we did, so that is him pitting 2 laps later. So unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo team, something must be going on with Bottas's car to force him to pit a second time. And as we get to lap 17, now that all the pit stops are pretty much done, I think the only exception would be the 2 Aston Martin teams who started on the hard compound. So they'll be pitting a little bit later into the mediums of Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll. As you can see here, Vettel will peel off. So we are now in 8th. As we pass this, we're going to hop up into position 7. So when you think about when we pitted, we took an undercut. We were at position 6, got passed by Russell, so we are in 7th coming into the pit. Realistically, we lost no ground. So this is a wonderful pit stop by us. We were having those problems on the medium compounds, decided to pit a lap earlier than most of these guys, and we are coming out. We are now in 7th position, still behind Daniel Ricciardo. As you can see, Max Verstappen is back up into 8th, so that early overtake, his tires are nice and warm now. Lap 19, we are just right on the tailpipe of Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, who's jumped up quite a bit. He was not even in the top 10 shootout, now in 9th position, and Lando Norris is all the way in 10th. As we go to the top, and oh my, Charles Leclerc, who had the lead for almost the entire race, is now being pressured by Sergio Perez. Oh my word, he is putting all the pressure on this man. Oh, but a little bit of, actually that looked like a little bit of an accident by Charles Leclerc. Maybe just caught that curb because Sergio Perez gets a wonderful exit, and he is now 0.3 of a second ahead of Charles Leclerc. So nearly 20 laps Charles Leclerc was leading. I don't know what the pit looked like for them. Maybe it was another pit error. Maybe a little bit of art imitating reality as you see Charles Leclerc struggling on those hards. My, oh my, it's crazy to see the Red Bull with how bad Max Verstappen has been doing. But as we go to our own race, we just make an inside dive on Daniel Ricciardo, the man who made dives like that famous in the last 5 years. So all of a sudden, we're looking pretty in position 6 as you see Max Verstappen. So maybe there's a little issue going on with Daniel Ricciardo here because his McLaren car has slowed way down, and you see myself and Verstappen easily overtake him. But as I was saying, with Max Verstappen all the way down in position 7, early points are very crucial in this season. You're going to see Perez now at the top trying to force his way into position 1 to get more points. As you see, we're battling it out with Verstappen, who bobbled that curb a little bit, and he looks to put the muscle out on us, and we say, not today, Verstappen, and we squeeze him to the inside, force him off that line. He has to back up to avoid accident. We continue down the track. Position 6 with only 9 laps left after this one. Oh my word. So you see Red Bull at the top, the 2 Ferraris, the 2 Mercedes, and then Spyder racing. As if you look on the leaderboard, position 15, Lawson is still there, but oh my word, what just happened there? Max Verstappen, a taste of his own medicine, got flung off the course as we look at the replay. Oh, that is karma in a nutshell. The man just tried going a little too wide. His back right tire caught the curb, locked up, and he nearly spun out. So kudos to him to keep control of the vehicle long enough to stay in that position 9 as Alonso and Ricciardo pass the Red Bull. But now you'll see Lando Norris. So I don't know if Max Verstappen got a little damage on the bottom of his vehicle from that. I don't know. He's looking a little bit slower. But what a turn of events. Shoves 3 cars off that same turn earlier in the race and then nearly spins out on the same one. And yes, he will. End of lap 20. Max Verstappen is going to come in. It looks like a little bit of nose damage. So he's probably going to change his tires, get that new nose on. But that's pretty much it for Max Verstappen. Any chance he wants of finishing inside the top 10 are pretty much gone. As you can see, him just dropping down to the 14th as Liam Lawson will pass him. So our teammate is now in a position 14, and we are just holding on to position 6 as best as we can. We do have Ricciardo, Alonso, Norris. Those are 3 cars that are arguably faster than us, better on the R&D chart that we're going to have to try and hold on as we go to lap 22, and Leclerc is doing everything he possibly can to catch up to Perez. But unfortunately, through the chicane, he loses a little bit of time, drops back down to nearly 0.5 of a second. We're going to have to keep an eye on this because, again, this was a guy who was out in the lead for 20 laps. A slow pit stop maybe. Rough steering on those hards. It's almost too good to be true. Mimicking reality. It's unfortunate to see. We'll see if he can come back. But now you see Lewis Hamilton is closing that gap to Carlos Sainz. So Lewis Hamilton trying to get to that podium for the first time this year. As you see, Daniel Ricciardo does make a nice little burst of fast pace to try and take that inside, but we do a great job, and that's my goal from here on out. Just close off those racing lines, try to make myself as wide as I can to the track, and just see if we can squeeze into position 6. If we can finish position 6, that is so many points that I did not expect going into this race. That'll look so good from us down the line. As you see, we'll switch here again. Unfortunately for the replay, the advertisements aren't there, but as you can see, Daniel Ricciardo looks to make an inside move. And again, the patch did adjust the AI speed. If this was the old patch, as we make an aggressive move to the inside, oh my word, that was so fast. As we retake, Daniel Ricciardo just slam on the brakes a little bit later and just swings the inside. But as I was saying, this is a perfect graphic here. Fernando Alonso finding that slipstream to pass Ricciardo, but the patch did change the straight line speed coming out of those corners. So before, these guys, all three of these guys would have been at me or past me. That new AI speed just backs it up a little bit. Not to say that any of these cars can't catch me. They are all faster than me on the R&D chart. They all have a much better engine. Statistically, they will pass me on those straights. But it is nice to see, oh no, this is not nice to see. Valtteri Bottas, the man who was doing so well early, looks like he had a puff of smoke. And he is being forced to retire. That is so unfortunate. He had such great pace to this race. Up in 5th position. Had that second pit stop, something didn't quite look right. But again, that new AI speed is just more manageable. Yes, you will definitely get pressured. They'll definitely find the slipstream, pop on the ERS, especially in DRS, they are fast. But it is not that hard to maintain if you get a good exit with your ERS. As you can see, there's a great example here. Lando Norris gets in that slipstream, has his DRS open for a second, and goes to make a play, and we just, exactly what I said, cut off that racing line, make ourselves wide, throw on that ERS if we need it, and now we are just battling it out. So it's actually Lando Norris. So the other McLaren driver has battled himself back from, I think it was position 16th or something, into P7 to Fernando Alonso, who's down there as well. And they are now battling it out. So the new guy, the old guy, and ourselves are battling it out for the 6th position. And the only thing I'm thinking is, how good would this P6 look on the shelf? For Spyder Racing in the first ever event. As you see Fernando Alonso, he's got that speed I was talking about, that slipstream, that ERS, and he looks to make, he actually brakes a little bit late. It doesn't take that corner as cleanly as he could, but he will overtake us for a moment. Just ahead of that, this was just a moment ago. Finally, on lap 25, Leclerc has closed that gap, and Sergio Perez has taken that corner a little too wide. Checo made a mistake and gave the lead back to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. So he has stormed back, made that mistake early, maybe some issues with the hard compound, and he finds himself in P1. Hopefully he can hold it off for the last few laps. But again, as we go back to our race, this was moments ago. Fernando Alonso takes the lead. No, we're not sweating it. You know what? That gives us opportunity to get that DRS activated. And now the two McLarens. This is a beautiful sight. As you see, the number 3 and number 4 car of Daniel Ricciardo, Lando Norris, the two orange McLarens battling it out. Oh, and Daniel Ricciardo on the inside, or sorry, Lando Norris on the inside, trying to overtake, I'm getting them all mixed up. It's orange and orange. This is wonderful, as it's Daniel Ricciardo at the moment ahead. Oh, no, no, the same corner that has caused so many issues in this race. Oh, that was such a beautiful race between the two McLarens. Sees Lando Norris try to take that outside corner, just gets a little too wide, and similar to Max Verstappen, catches that corner and just spins out. As you see on the first turn of lap 26, we try to make the inside play on Fernando Alonso. He gets a better exit, but we're right on that tailpipe of him now. We have the slipstream. We have the ERS. The DRS flap is open, as you can see there, pushing him to the outside, and we will easily be able to grab that racing line and slingshot ourselves back into P6, but not before Fernando Alonso shows some aggression, trying to maintain that position. But wow, oh, wow, a great little sequence. And this is what I was talking about, just not overreacting to him passing us earlier. 3 laps left, lots of time to make that play. But right now, barring any incidents, with a 0.6 of a second gap over Fernando Alonso, 6th place is looking pretty, because you saw Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris are so far behind, but all of a sudden, Alonso wants a piece of this 6th place, and we are just going to shut him down again. So while our car is bottom of the R&D chart, this car is showing some wonderful, wonderful speed, some wonderful maneuvers. It's still very hard to get that corner tucked in very quickly, so you kind of have to use that that under braking, trail braking, just get it in so you can turn that corner with as much speed as possible. We'll switch over to lap 27 here. We are still in this position, but once again, just can't make any more room on Alonso. So he will slingshot past us, but we look to brake late, and we'll try and grab the inside play again, and we do, and we'll swing to the outside and just cut him off. So another great overtake, a wonderful overtake by Spyder Racing, our car, number 60, still in 6th position. As we look back now, it's Daniel Ricciardo who is catching up to Alonso, and this is exactly what we need to see with 3 more laps, including this one. We want to see these little squabbles, because if they can battle it out, they're going to be focused on each other, maintaining that P7. We're going to be able to slip into the distance. As you can see, we've gained nearly a second ahead of these guys. And it's now Yuki Tsunoda, the AlphaTauri, who was kind of just floating his way into a P10, P9, is now right behind them both as well. And in fact, it will be Daniel Ricciardo who on this final lap, lap 29, in a McLaren car, showing his muscle, showing his strength, trying to get that 6th position. And I'm not going to let him have it. Not today. We're going to squeeze him to the outside. Let him have that race line. But we're going to try and make a late braking play to the outside, squeeze him to the inside, gets him on that curb, bumps him off. Now Alonso's right on his heels. Ladies and gentlemen, with the last few corners going into this tough chicane, we are now out in a commanding pace. P6, Liam Lawson, P13 in the first race here at Bahrain. A wonderful showing from Spyder Racing. Something I never thought would happen this early in the season. Certainly won't be able to keep this up all season long. Obviously, these cars are more rich. They have more resources. They're going to gain some bigger upgrades. As you see, we're just defending Ricciardo beautifully. It's a master class at defending on the track right now. But I will take this start. This is just all expectations met, all expectations exceeded. I'm super excited to be back playing this game. The racing feels true. There is no longer any OP, ridiculously top speed AI opponents coming into those corners who just zip past you in half a second. Your ERS matters now. Your DRS matters now. As we cost that checker flag for a 6th finish and a wonderful showing for some massive points early. I know we won't hold on to this pace throughout the season, so we're going to enjoy it while we can. As you see, Fernando will get that driver of the day, and rightfully so. He was so far back on the grid and just challenged us all the way to the end.
That's a fantastic
But it will be the man of Charles Leclerc hanging on, getting that position back. And now we'll take a look at your leaders. Enjoy.
To deliver such an incredible result today.
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Well, there you have it. Similar to real life, Charles Leclerc gets the first win of the season here in Bahrain with his teammate Carlos Sainz in 3rd place. But kudos to Checo. Yes, he lost the lead late in the race, gained it back from Charles Leclerc early, and then finished 2nd for some much needed points for his team, as Max Verstappen was nowhere near this podium. So all in all, a wonderful showing here, and it's super exciting up and down. There is, I don't even know where we spend the most time. Was it our race or these guys' race? But all in all, it is a great start to this career. I am so excited to be back. We're going to have these videos, hopefully at least one of these videos once a week, if not twice a week. But new videos twice a week on the channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Tell me what you enjoy. Tell me what we can improve on. Hopefully your careers are going better now that these patches are out. But have a look at the leaderboard. We'll see you back here next time for the race out in Jeddah. For now, thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your night. Talk to you guys later.
Be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.